Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood, and joining me on this fine, lovely Tuesday morning is my friend Daniel Culver. Killenberg, how are you, man?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good. So we're here to discuss the potential of the Resident Evil movie, the new one coming out September 3rd this year. We're excited for it. Man, what if I was looking at the poster? I don't know if you've saw it that was released. Here it has. Let's see, Ada Wong, Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, um, the helicopter pilot. I forget his name. I think Brad. I think is his name. Um, Wesker. We know just a slew. Leon, Claire. Just pretty much every character from the first two games. Even Chief Irons. So I have a question for you off the bat. What are your thoughts of they're bringing every character from the first two games for this movie?
I think it's, pretty. I think it's cool, but I'm not sure how they're gonna. I'm kind of wondering how they're gonna balance the first two games into one movie. But I think it's pretty cool because at least we know it's gonna at least follow the games.
Yeah, do you think this will be more than one movie? Like, and what I mean by that is I'm going to clarify because sometimes with movies, sort of like Lord of the Rings, you'll get one movie and then you'll get the other part of the movie, or maybe even Star Wars, you'll get the first movie, then time jump, you'll get the second movie. But there are movies where that don't time jump that are in the same time frame, and what I mean is it starts with Rat in the mansion and it's in Raccoon, but there's the story of Raccoon City, and then we get a whole other movie, maybe a year or two from now, or maybe even three. That's the other part of this movie. Do you think this will be more than one movie?
Yeah, I could see it being more than one movie.
I'm leaving.
Okay.
Dad's taking me that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
I
but
love you. Can I kiss real quick?
love you too.
Alright, sorry.
That's all right.
See
Yeah,
you later, babe.
See, but yeah, I that's sort of my thought process of this. That because again, I agree with something you're saying that we're getting not just one incorporation of the games, we're getting two, one and two, the mansion sequence, and again, we don't know how much of that will be in the film per se, because the title of the film is called Welcome to Raccoon City. And we both look, we've played both versions of the games. We've played two, we've played the remake, and we all know how two starts off. You have, depending on who you choose, if you choose Leon, you're riding in with Leon in his Jeep. If you choose Claire, you're riding with Claire on her motorcycle. But so I'm curious, do you think, in your opinion, this movie starts off that exact way, or no? Do you think it won't?
Um, that's actually a good question. I'm not sure. I think it could, but I don't know. I think it might. You know what? Maybe, but I think it might start off with the. It's possible we'll start off with the mansion incident. You know what I mean? Like, how they get trapped at the mansion and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would be curious to see if it starts off with like the helicopter, how the helicopter's coming to rescue you at the end of one, and as they're approaching, you see the mansion explode, and I'm curious if it'll start like that, and that's sort of my hope that it does, because it gives you it, it sort of gives you that segue of, okay, here's one, we're ending one, and we're starting two. I'm sort of hoping it starts off that way a bit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, it would. So we have Albert Wesker in this movie, and I think most people who've played the games knows he's the turncoat of this movie. And I do have a question and a theory to run past you. We know Albert Wesker in Resident Evil 2 and 3, really, if you play the new Nemesis, that Chief Irons is investigating Jill Valentine and the members of STARS team. Jill's even suspended from the police force STARS. That he's running an investigation because Wesker was a turncoat and he doesn't trust anybody who worked under Wesker, really, who went on that mission. But we know Chief Irons is dirty too, and he's really working for Umbrella. I have a question for you. In the games, we know Chris leaves. Chris and Barry go off to look into Umbrella, the Umbrella HQ. But they don't stay. Chris doesn't stay and try to really fight for his name the way Jill does. Jill stays behind and not only is fighting for her name, but fighting for Chris's name and the people who weren't dirty. So I have a question for you. Why does Jill stay and Chris sort of just say fuck it and leave? What's your theory on that?
That's actually a good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's actually, I'm not sure, like, that's, yeah, is it, I guess maybe Chris just doesn't care, but I don't know,
I'm with you on that. Chris, I don't think he does. I think, in my viewpoint of the games, at least, and I'm curious to see if they do this in the movie at all, is Chris just says fuck it, and literally because I mean they know Chris Barry know what Jill knows. They know Wesker turned, right? I mean and they know Wesker betrayed them. But I think what Chris sees is the writing on the wall. He sees that there's no coming back. I'm not saying Jill doesn't. I think Jill more worries about her name being tarnished than what Chris does. Chris says, fuck it. My family's always had history, so fuck it. I'm curious to see if they do this at all in the movie. Do you think that... I know Brad really... Do you think Brad at all, we're going to see any kind of character development from Brad? We know he gets killed by Nemesis, and we know he's a helicopter pilot, but do you think he's going to have any real character value in this movie?
I'm actually gonna say no. I mean, I think he's gonna be like the pilot, and then maybe in the sequel, or when Nemesis shows up, he'll come back. And I also, if people who make the movies are listening, please keep the original way he died. I wasn't a fan of how in like the remake, he turned to a zombie instead.
Yeah, we both did not care for how the remake sort of treated Brad, because Nemesis is supposed to be, just killing the STARS members. And yeah, we get he got this cool zombie turning ability, but he doesn't really even do that to Brad. Brad gets bitten, which I found sort of, I'm with you on that. I did not care for that either. I thought they took away his best value in the whole game, which was being killed by Nemesis, because it put Nemesis over. Nemesis, that's what made Nemesis scary. It's like, is he really hunting down all these STARS members like they think? And it's like, well, there's Brad, he's dead. Yep, he is.
That's true. And also, they even kind of made it like they could have set it up in the remake, because in the remake he actually he actually distracts Nemesis, to get Jill, and that would have been the perfect opportunity to have him kill him, because he stood up to Nemesis.
Yeah, I do. I'm curious because I've watched the first 3. I know you've watched all of the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies, but I have not. I've only watched 3. So we know in part 2 that there are STARS members, but they get wiped out pretty quickly by Nemesis. They're all in one building except for Jill and a couple others. And I really felt they made them look weak. They made Jill and them look weak in that. So I'm hoping if they have Nemesis in this, which I'm not saying they will, my hope is that, yes, we're going to get Claire and Leon's story in this, but somewhere inside Raccoon City is Jill as well, and my hope is maybe it's Jill's. That this, I think, here's my theory on this: that I don't think this is just Leon and Claire's story. I think overall this will be Jill's story to tell.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think that? Do you think that? How much of Claire and Leon do you think this will be Claire and Leon's story or completely?
Um, I think you might be right. You know, might be, Jill's, but I could see them having, being the, basically being theirs. Them being the main characters.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if like my hope with Brad is they do give him a little more character development in this because I'm more no, see I'm more know Brad as when people ask me about Brad I'm like yeah that was the dude killed by Nemesis. So my hope is that if they have like some sort of weird hearing for like Jill and them and the Stars members that you sort of see Brad speaking up from like no because I think that's something Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the remake, gets across real clear is that Jill, when she's in town, she's being watched by people. And she questions if it was Chief Irons' men watching her, like internal affairs, because she knows she didn't do, like, she's not dirty. But again, there's just so much shit going on with her from a standpoint of the investigation because they're trying to tarnish their name. Because if they go public with their information of what they saw in the mansion. But my question to you is will Brad do you think Brad will maybe be able to if we do get a sort of like a weird scene between Brad and Chief Irons, do you think Brad will speak up for Jill and Chris?
I think it is possible actually. Like maybe he actually will stand up for them.
Yeah. See, here's the thing too. Barry Burton Barry Burton living in the original game was an option. Like that's what some people might forget about the original Resident Evil. Like it was an option to save him. And you had to if I remember correctly in the original game you had to have your first aid spray from where you started off. So but again, I'm old, so I could be wrong about that, but I do know saving him was an option if I remember correctly. And so I'm curious, what Barry's role in the first game and second or this movie will be. How big it will be, because you got to think. I could see them framing Jill and Chris, but Barry, and maybe this is why they do it too. Another reason why they get easily framed is because Barry's alive, and Barry and Albert almost said Adam. Barry and Albert Wesker were very tight. They were close.
Yeah, that's all true. And also him living is actually optional in the 2002 remake, but I think it's different. I think in the remake, you have the option to hand him the Magnum or not.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm curious to see what they do with what exactly they're gonna do with Barry and the others, and the fact that again Chris leaves, Jill stays. You have Leon. And here's my question to you: do you think they're gonna change Leon from maybe just a regular cop, like a regular cop who's just coming in, like a fresh rookie, from maybe he's a new recruit for Stars?
I could actually see that.
Yeah. I'm more. Here's the thing too. Claire, we know Claire's coming to find her brother, like is coming to Raccoon City to visit her brother to sort of. And my question to you is, do you think that she just doesn't know that Chris left? Because they don't seem to have the best communication for a brother and sister at times.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. Well, too, I'm curious if they're going to change her a bit too, because she's coming in to see her brother who's left town. I mean, and he doesn't. We know Jill knows he left town. We know Brad knows, but yet his own sister doesn't know he's left town, and maybe he just didn't tell her. That's a possibility. I could see. But I'm curious if they're going to just have her come in maybe in a different way. Maybe she too, maybe her and Leon are both new recruits of stars. Because the one thing I think the Resident Evil 3 remake sort of is hinting at most of all, when you go in, there's a closet down the stairs, and in the closet is a picture of Brad. He's the poster boy. And it's pitching about new recruitment. And that's sort of why I asked you this, because I'm thinking, well, you would think with stars sort of under the investigation it was in, the best thing they would want to do is get new recruits in to sort of make you forget about the old ones. To sort of, okay, we're going in the new direction, so we're hiring young blood. So I could see Leon and Claire, maybe not Claire necessarily, but I could see Leon being recruited. I'm with you on that. But maybe Claire's coming in to sort of either actually do look for her brother or try out for the police.
It could be another thing I thought about, like, maybe they could have said maybe one of the reasons she didn't call him, like on the phone, maybe they said, like, the phone lines are down, because if I remember correctly, they said that this is going to take place in 1998, like the games did. And, 1998, they didn't really have phones like we did, so you don't really have to say, like, the phone tower. They could have said the phone lines could have been bitten into by zombies,
Yeah, that's true. Daniel's got a great point. This film is being set when the games took place, which is 1998. So cell phones aren't really are what they are yet, even really to that extent. At least not, not quite to, well, there are cell phones, but not everybody has them is what I'll say in 1998. I would say when I seen everybody have one was maybe 1999. But again, my memory is different from those. So they're probably like, I had a cell phone in '98. Well, good for you if you did. But I do agree with you. They could have just said that the lines were down and she couldn't contact him. That is a great point.
Thanks.
Do you think that, because Birkin is in this, do you think we see Birkin change into the monster?
I'm gonna say yes. For those that don't know, if you're listening to this in like December of 2021, I could be wrong, but this is recorded before the movie came out. For those that don't know,
right?
So
Right.
But I'm gonna say yeah, I think he will.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the movie's not out yet. We're sort of just making predictions based off the games we've played, 1 and 2, the original Nemesis, the remakes. We're sort of going off those. We're not going off the Paul W.S. Anderson movies. We're more going off the experience of playing the original games. And so that's sort of what we're bringing. Now, again, Daniel has seen all the Paul W.S. Anderson movies. I have not. I refuse to watch the rest of them. And yes, I stand by that refusal till the end of time. But so I gotta ask you this: Do you think Wesker will die by the end of the first, by the end of this, that they'll say he's dead, or do you think they'll leave it open to he's alive somehow?
I think either they're gonna trick people into thinking he's dead like they did in the games,
Right.
or maybe they're gonna do the opposite. Maybe like a post-credit scene, it's gonna show that he's actually still alive.
Yeah, it's real weird because I do agree with you. It's real interesting. They could take this so many directions with him. I think that, despite all the zombies and, the talk of Nemesis, because I think I'm excited to see what exactly they're going to bring to this. We know they're bringing liquors, and we're really excited about that. Again, we're just excited about the movie in general. But that's something I'm curious about as well is Wesker's what is Wesker's fate going to be in this movie? Is he going to be dead, or is it they like he's sort of like Halloween H show? Halloween H show tricked people into thinking that was Michael. Well, this they could trick people into thinking Wesker's dead, and he's really not. So I'm with you. I think I'm hoping, even though look, Wesker's a dick for as a character. But I'm hoping they keep him alive because it gives them something down the road to look forward to.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Do you think we'll get Birkin's daughter in this, the little girl, Sherry?
I think it's possible. I'm not sure because you don't know. Some people might have a problem with. Maybe she will, but she'll have a much smaller involvement. Like they'll say like there was a little girl that was involved or something.
Yeah, like a post report, you mean?
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Right. Well, to your point too, Sherry, because again, how a game goes with a movie it differs. We know this. And what I'll say is, Sherry as a playable character, is she sort of an annoyance? Yeah, yes, she is. But I think the one thing they'll have is, and your stories did this too, it touched on people surviving Raccoon City. For those who don't know, Daniel is a writer, as am I, too. But Daniel wrote a real good Resident Evil story about people surviving in Raccoon City as the zombie thing was going down, which is really, really good. So that's something I could see, like her being, because Kendo's a survivor too, but he's with his daughter in the remake. But I could see Sherry being one of the survivors, and maybe that's how her and Claire meet. That because basically they do meet that way in the game. She's a survivor, and they just happen to meet. So I could see her being in the movie, and my hope is that she is, because despite Birkin injects himself because he gets shot. But despite Birkin's bad decision and his wife's bad decision, I do like their daughter. Their daughter was really a likable character from the standpoint of you felt bad for her.
Yeah, that's true. And even the Paul W. Anderson movies kind of used her, but they didn't really use her. They made a character named Ashley, but they basically had the same origin. Her dad was trying to find a virus, would create the virus supposedly to help heal her. But it's kind of the same. It kind of seems similar, to me at least.
No, I agree with you. Daniel's right. Like Birkin is in the movie, in the Paul W. Anderson movie, and he has a daughter named Ashley. And she has something wrong with her. And basically, the T virus is being made to help cure her, but because William Birkin sold his soul to the military and the devil, they're sort of mixed between an Umbrella, really, too. Umbrella is really the driving force behind the evil of this, as we all know. That there's a confliction between Birkin really wanting his daughter cured and safe, and a confliction between what Umbrella wants to use the virus for it. It's not the same purpose, and it took, for whatever reason, even in the Paul W. Anderson movie, it took really Raccoon City to sort of open Birkin's eyes. But in the games, when you play the remake, Birkin is actually paranoid as shit in the remake. And I think even in the original, if my memory is right, but I could be wrong. So, do you think Birkin will be the paranoid guy looking over his shoulder for Umbrella in this movie, or?
Oh yeah, I could see that. Oh, and another thing I actually thought about, and see, if you ever played Resident Evil 0, they actually show Wesker and Birkin talking and talking about the viruses and stuff, and and that's. Do you think it's possible that William Birkin and Wesker talking, is going to be in this movie as well?
I hope so. I think that's one of the most key things you just brought up. Now, Daniel is correct. In Resident Evil 0, Birkin and Wesker talk. So, and they betrayed the other doctor. I forget his. I think it's that Dr. Marcus, I believe. So,
Oh yeah.
they betray him. But I'm with you. I definitely hope they do, because I do think that is a key element to not just Birkin him, not just really, or sorry, Wesker himself, but why Birkin is so paranoid. I think Birkin realizes, hey, that son of a bitch helped me turn on one doctor. What's to stop him from really turning on me, or even the Umbrella Corporation themselves? So I think that's what really drives Birkin's paranoia in the game. Sort of their Resident Evil 2, I think, is playing off of Resident Evil 0, to your point, like the remake, especially. So my hope is that they do sort of play off that in this movie. I 1000% am with you. I hope they have that in this movie.
Yeah. Actually, what's weird is I think I may have told you this in one of our other discussions, but Dr. Marcus is actually in the Paul W. Sanderson movies, but it's really weird because instead of Ashley, he created the virus to heal his daughter Alicia Marcus, and now Alice is a clone of Alicia. And I kid you not, Alicia is just played by Mila Jovovich, but she's wearing like makeup to look old, or CGI, I don't know, but yeah, basically it's just her about looking old.
Yeah, that the continuity, again. I only did 3 of these because after the third one I was done. So I I find the movies weird. Like Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil movie is weird. Like, again, the second one, the first 2 I watched. The third one I was like, I'm done. I'm checking out. This isn't going in the direction I love. So I applaud you for having the patience to go through those movies, because I don't. My wife has. I've told you this. My wife has tried to twist my arm up and down to watch them. I was like, no, I will not watch them. So.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. Actually, do you think that picture of Rebecca on Wesker's desk will appear in this movie?
That's a real good question. Mm, I'm gonna say yes, only because I think they're going to give. Again, if Wesker lives, you want to have Wesker a focus in this movie, live or die, right? Like, so Rebecca is a focus. Like, Rebecca, you know what I mean? So Rebecca Chambers, I believe. But so yeah, I do think she will be.
Oh, I meant like, I don't know if you know this, but for those that don't know, in Resident Evil 2, if you click on, I forgot what it is, but if you click on something a bunch of times, you'll actually see a picture of Rebecca, and she's like in this like basketball outfit.
Yeah.
And that's in the remake too. Like, but it's a little different in the remake. But the remake, yeah, if you have to develop it. But yeah, I kind of wonder if that picture will, like, they'll show like his desk or something, and that picture will be on there.
Yeah, Rebecca is an interesting character, so I do think they would would have that. Maybe it will be hidden inside. Maybe it'll be hidden because in Resident Evil 2 remake, there's like a secret compartment to I think the Chief's desk and even Wesker's desk. So maybe they'll have like it as a secret compartment. Maybe the either Claire or Leon will stumble upon it and like start questioning who that is, and then he'll look through the stars pictures and come across her name. So I could see that.
Yeah. You think that's a sign that Wesker has a crush on her? I know some people think that, but
I have a working theory about Rebecca. I don't think it's so much a crush. I think Rebecca is somehow related to Albert Wesker. Now, I'm not saying they say that in the games. That's just my theory of it. Because if you have when you do have a picture of somebody, who do you have a picture of? It's either family or somebody you're in love with, or somebody you care deeply for. So if you when you have a picture, especially in your desk or somewhere close to you, it's because that person means something to you. So I think Rebecca, in my opinion, I'm going to stress that, my opinion, I think she's somehow related to him.
Oh, that's actually a pretty interesting theory. Of course, if he does have a crush on her, I think she's like 18 or 19, so it's still not illegal if he does,
That's true. He could. That's the thing too. Rebecca is an adult. She's not, just some kid. She looks. What I'll say is, in the games, whether you look at the cutscenes or you see Zero, she looks way like. It's weird. She's 18, but she looks 16 to me. But because women look younger than what they are. We all know this. So, yes, Daniel's right. She is 18. So, what do you think that? Do you think they'll have her picture in his desk or in this movie or?
That's I don't know. Maybe they will. That's a good question. Like you said, maybe they'll find it. Question it.
Right. I'm curious to what I'm curious to ask you this is what do you think they'll have puzzles in this movie, the Resident Evil puzzles?
I think they will, but not as many as the games, obviously.
Right. I think they're going like in Resident Evil 2 remake, that's what I'll say, like the puzzle, like they shorten the game to sort of they keep puzzles, but it's not as many, but it's enough. I do think there's going to be things uh, Leon and Claire have to do to get access to things, and that's sort of how they'll incorporate the puzzles. Sort of like they did in the game, in the remake even. Like there's things you have to do to sort of get through this, and those puzzles will be, for whatever reason, they'll be a part of it some weird way. And I'm with you. I'm curious to see how they incorporate this, like the puzzles. So we don't know if we're gonna get Nemesis, but do you think we'll get Mr. X?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? I'm gonna say yeah, because it doesn't seem like it would be that hard to do.
Right. No, it would. I don't think it would. I want to see. You know how they drop him down from into the ceiling. That's what I'm hoping we see. Like him literally be dropped down into the ceiling, go through the ceiling, and just come after Leon and Claire. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, you know what they should do? You know how in the remake of Resident Evil 2, he has a fedora for some reason.
Yeah.
I actually did, but I don't know if it's true or not. But I heard if you shoot his fedora, sometimes he'll actually look around for it. So maybe that's something they can do in the movie too.
If you shoot off his fedora, it's very rare this happens, but he will do it. If you shoot it off, there is a moment I've seen him have it back on. So he does go back for it. Like I shot it off. You know when he lifts up the helicopter for Leon. I ran back outside to get him to come outside because I didn't want it. Again, that's a confined space. So he come outside, and as he's coming toward me, I shot off his hat, and then I threw a flashbang just to be a dick. But and then I ran, and I seen him later. I didn't see him for a while. Then I seen him later. He had the hat back on. I'm thinking that son of a bitch went back for that hat.
It is weird. I didn't know he put it back on. Like I said, I heard he looks for it sometimes, but even I did shoot off, but I actually never noticed him looking around. I probably, ran away after I did.
Right. I don't think you'll like because again he's quicker than what he looks. He walks at a fast pace. So you really don't want to stand around like watching him look for a hat that he either might or might not look for. But I will say he either again I didn't see him go back for it physically because I was running from him like you did because I'm not going to stand there. But I seen him with it later, and then after I shot it off the second time, I didn't see it with him no more. So I think there's like a two. Well, this is gonna sound weird, like a two hat limit. Like if you shoot it off once, he'll go back for it. If you shoot it off twice, no, fuck it. But because again, it's not something that's gonna stay on either. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, he reminds me of something. I don't know if you know how people mod some of these games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kid you not. Someone, to be honest, I may have told you about this before, but I don't think I have, but maybe I have. But someone actually modded the game, and they gave him a umbrella speedo.
No, you did not tell me that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's just like, what the hell?
I seen someone did mod the game, and it was Nemesis. They modded it with Nemesis,
That'd be kind of interesting.
which I thought was really cool. There's been so many mods to that game, like what concerning Mr. X. Like, but yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, for those that don't know, you gotta be a little careful because there are people. Well, maybe not. I guess you could just ignore it. But yeah, some people. I only know this because I've seen people like post videos and post. I think usually videos, but maybe sometimes photos too. But there are people who actually mod the female characters naked and stuff too.
Yeah, I've seen the photos of that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but at least the Mr. X one is kind of funny to me,
Yeah, the Mr. X one's hilarious because I've seen one. I think there was a Terminator mod with it too that somebody modded the Terminator. So there's been a couple mods to that one. I'm trying to think I think my favorite mod that I've seen with Mr. X and that it was somebody did mod. I do believe somebody modded an Albert Wesker Mr. X. I think that was my favorite one that I've seen. I could be wrong. It may have been somebody else, but I'm pretty sure there was an Albert Wesker Mr. X mod.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it,
Right. Oh, goodness. So I want to talk to you about something too. I was reading on Twitter that somebody I follow had asked about would you like to see a Nightmare on Elm Street animation, basically an anime, and do you think it would work? So I got to ask you, do you think that would work as an anime, Nightmare on Elm Street?
As an anime, it might work because there are some pretty violent animes,
Yeah, for those that don't know, animation. Me and Daniel were in animation. We like Dragon Ball Z and stuff, but I do think it would work because again, there are a lot of cartoons and animes with horror elements. I mean, people might say Death Note is one, but I would point to all. This is going to sound weird, but Bloody Disgusting just mentioned this. But if you go watch it, yeah, they're right. All Dogs Go to Heaven has horror elements in it. and it's a Disney film.
Oh,
That's what's weird. So it's when Disney actually had the nerve to have some balls and put suggestion in an anime. And so the dog is sort of torn between, is he going to go to heaven, is he going to go to hell, because he's not always, again, he's not exactly the most reputable dog either. So there's a torn between that. And so it sort of does show what hell would look like to him, which is real creepy. But also a film. I'll tell you, I got a horse in this race. If they ever do a Nightmare on Elm Street, my hope would be Studio Ghibli would do it, or manga. But my more hope would be Studio Ghibli, because if you go watch Spirited Away has some of the best horror elements in it. Here's this little girl and her family, they get lost, right? And they come upon this abandoned amusement park, which it seems like one on the surface, but here it's a world between the living and the dead. And it's really well shot and done. Well drawn and done, I should say.
I think I've actually seen that before, to be honest.
It's really good. It has really good horror elements in it. All Dogs Go to Heaven does too. Again, there's a lot of. I'll point to one too, Ricky Tikki Taffy, and for people going, what the hell's that? It's about this animal, this mongoose that kills snakes, and these snakes in this movie are very villainous. Basically, snakes are portrayed as villains in this movie. Cobras, venomous snakes primarily. So it's really creepy, and it's funny. My wife saw it at the store, and she wanted to get it for the kids. And she goes, "Hon, I want to get this." I turned to see what it is, and it was Ricky Tikki Taffy. And people would say, "Well, you show your kids horror, so what would be what would be wrong with showing that?" For me, as a parent, that's something I wouldn't show my kids, because it crosses the line of, that's something I just wouldn't show my kids, because I just feel it depicts certain things in a negative way. That's number one. Number two, it's not just suggestive. It's very, very direct with its suggestion of snakes being evil. And I felt that, I'm like, no, that's just not something we should show the kids. So she put it back, and she goes, well, she asked me later why, and I told her. So
Yeah, that's understandable. I actually didn't know that, but yeah, I could see that point,
yeah, it just, like, I get snakes are dangerous. Like, I've been telling my kids about dangerous animals. We've talked about all sorts of animals that are dangerous. Not just snakes, bears and such, because I live up in the mountains. So we've been talking about this. So when she saw that movie, she wanted to get it for the kids. I'm like, no, it would give them, one, I know it would definitely give my kids nightmares, because again, it's not just suggestive. It's flat out telling you, well, snakes are evil. Well, we know that's not necessarily the case, but to a kid, they might not get that interpretation.
Yeah, I could really see that. Yeah, they're really not evil. They're just doing what they have to survive.
Right, right. But the movie itself, it depicts them as evil. It's like, no, they're not really evil. So, um, craziness. So, I do have I think I have two more questions for you. Do you think that, we know Edelman's going to be in this movie? Do you think that she's going to be a full blown heel, or she's always been an in between character we know in the games? But do you think she's going to be a full blown heel in this movie, or do you think they're going to keep her as sort of a shades of gray character?
I think she's gonna be, like in between, like you said.
Yeah, I do. Again, I'm sort of curious to see if they keep the love angle, the somewhat strange love angle between her and Leon. It is, again, it's sort of weird, their love angle, depending on if you've played the original and the remake. Either way, it's weird. They have this weird
Oh
sort of
yeah,
love for each other, right? This weird and again, they don't know each other; they're strangers. So I'm.
Yeah, after
Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, like, actually, it's weird. Is like, she was in Resident Evil 2 and then Resident Evil 4, and yeah, when I played Resident Evil 6, I thought to myself, well, when I saw her and in Leon's campaign in Resident Evil 6, I thought to myself, so when's the wedding?
Right. Right. I'm with you. I actually, when I played Resident Evil 4, I'm thinking, my thought was, God's sakes, just have sex with the woman. For God's sakes, just get it over with. Get it over with.
She's in one of the animated movies too. I forgot which one.
Oh,
I think it's
wow. Yeah, it just. So it's interesting to see if they'll keep that or not, the love angle between Ada and Leon, or the attraction angle. And I think let's see. Yep, I got one final question. Do you think that, like, we will get? Let's see. I'm looking. Do you think we'll get a full version of part one in this movie, or do you think we'll get half of one and half of two?
I'm gonna say half of one, half of two, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. Again, I think the thing we're both curious about is, where will this story start and end? And I'm with you. I think we get half of one and half of two. And again, there's so much that they could do with this movie. It's, again, I'm excited. You're excited. I can't wait for the trailer, which should be coming here soon. But I'm just really excited for the trailer, and I know you are too. Do you think that we'll get maybe Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th in an anime form one day?
I think it's possible, but well, more of with Nightmare on Elm Street, because Friday the 13th is still going through that BS,
Yeah, the lawsuit. Yeah, that whole shit there is just nuts. But
Maybe that's still going on, to be honest.
my fear of any lawsuit with franchises, and I think this is sort of happening with Friday the 13th, is it takes your sort of, just, it makes you shake your head at people, because it's like, look, there's money to be made with this franchise. Just come to some sort of agreement so the fans can get another movie. And I know how that's going to sound. That's going to sound selfish. But really, in many ways, I just think a lot of people are being selfish with just, again, my opinion, just a franchise that a lot of fans love.
That's true. And actually, it's interesting. Oh, sorry, I think I actually hit my mic, but yeah, I saw a recommended video on YouTube, and it said like new Friday 13th movie coming in 2020. And obviously, that didn't happen because it's 2021. I was thinking to myself, oh, I bet it's because of that lawsuit, if that was even true,
Yeah, I don't know if that was true or not. Again, that's something I had read on Bloody Discussing as well. I think they had put that out there, and I'm thinking, well, is one coming? And then next thing you know, it's funny. As soon as that came out, like, not even, I think, 2 weeks later, the lawsuit was announced. So I'm not so sure how legit that really was. So it just may have been a source talking out of their ass, but who knows?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's like that Silent Hill game that everybody keeps saying we're getting, and I keep telling everybody, yeah, okay, I'll believe it when I see it, because I don't see it happening anytime soon, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I know there was going to be a game called Silent Hills, but that never happened.
You want to know the most frustrating part of that? They released a trailer for the game, and the trailer's out there, like with Norman Reedus in it. They literally released the trailer for the game. I was so excited. And when they release a trailer, you know this, you could put a game, when they announce a game, you could put it on pre-order. They never put it on pre-order, and I'm like, why? And then all of a sudden it got pulled. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, that would be annoying.
I was like, they had the trailer. They had the trailer. Oh my god! At least I didn't ever see it for pre-order because I kept asking, and they're like, "No, that." I'm like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I saw the trailer." Like, we're telling you, there's no pre-order. I'm like, "All right."
Oh wow, yeah, that is insane. Yeah.
It is just Silent Hill. I won't say it's a complete mess, but it's a messy situation right now, and it just either Konami's got to decide whether they want to pull the plug on it or take a leap and do a game. I think they should, but I think they need to quit messing around with their fan base because every time you'll see somebody source out of Konami says there's going to be a new Silent Hill game. Yeah, yeah, that source has been saying that for a while now. That's what I'll say.
Like, you know what? I doubt this will happen, but what if Capcom actually bought the rights to Silent Hill?
That's funny. I was going to ask you that same thing because I was looking at Resident Evil 2 yesterday. I think I wouldn't be shocked if Capcom did buy it because why not? They already own Resident Evil. They've had success with it up so, so much, and it would give them a whole new product to look at. I wouldn't mind if they
Oh,
did
that's true.
because again, they right now, from a game standpoint, they're more dependable than what Konami is because Konami doesn't really have much out there. But well, other than the games they've already put out for over the years, but those games you can go play. Because here's the thing, I have Silent Hill 2 on a stream, like and I've been playing it up off and on here or there. So I mean that's exciting to go play because I've played it before, but I do want a new Silent Hill, and yeah, I'm with you. I do think Capcom could do that and would easily have success with it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, I don't think it would be that big a deal if they owned that and Resident Evil.
I'll tell you somebody I really want to buy Silent Hill. I love Capcom, but I would want Rockstar Games to buy Silent Hill. And if you've
Oh,
ever
that would be pretty interesting.
they've done Grand Theft Auto, but one of my favorite game series is Red Dead Redemption. And I don't know if you've played them, but they have for a Western game, it has really good horror elements in it because there's times you'll be alone in that game and you'll get attacked by some animal, some person will shoot your ass out of the middle of nowhere. It's like holy shit.
I played Red Dead Redemption, but I've never played Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Revolver. But I have played the zombie DLC of the Red Dead Redemption as well. Yeah, you're right. That has horror elements.
It's really good. Again, I'm with you. I would want Capcom because again, they're more familiar with horror than what maybe even Rockstar is, and they've had success with a franchise. But I wouldn't mind if Rockstar would take a chance on a horror franchise like a Silent Hill because they do good work. When they put a game out, it's worth it.
Actually, what's interesting about you bringing up Red Dead Redemption is I don't know if you noticed, but Red Dead Revolver, the actual original, was originally going to be a Capcom game, but Rockstar bought the rights to it.
Yeah, I remember hearing that actually. I actually played Red Dead Revolver right before I played Red Dead Redemption Part 2 because I had never played I'd played Red Dead Redemption 1, but I never played Red Dead Revolver and someone's like, "Oh, you need to go play Red Dead Revolver." And I'm like, "All right." And then I've seen it on the PlayStation store for real cheap and I was like, "All right, I'll buy it. Why not?" It was only a couple bucks. So I bought
Well,
it.
this
God, I'm sorry.
that is pretty cheap. And actually, I did know it was on there. I think it's on there as because you know how they have some PS2 games on there you can download and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty cheap though.
Yeah, it is on there for a good price. So if you guys want to go pick up Red Dead Revolver on the PlayStation Store, it has a really good price. There's a bunch of PS2 games for the PS4 you can buy. I'm hoping they actually re-release the original Resident Evil 2 for the PS4 on their store for a PS2 pickup because if they do, I'm gonna go get that thing.
You know that's what sucks. You can get the first 3 Resident Evil games on the PS3, as the PS1 classics, but they didn't bring that over to the PS4, and it kind of annoys me that they didn't.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they will now with the release of the PS5. So I'm with you. I do wish they would have brought those over. Again, I don't know how much they're going to release it much more from the PS2 to the PS4 because we know PS5's out. But I'm with you. I'm hoping they'll maybe put Resident Evil 2 on there. I doubt it, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, maybe they'll do it for the PS5, but I don't know because it seems like they're trying to distance themselves from the past. I'm not trying to make assumptions, but it is because I know they're obsolete now, but I don't know if you heard, but in the summer you won't be they're getting rid of the PlayStation Store completely on the PS3 and PSP and PS Vita.
Oh,
But it might be because they're old. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, they are old systems, so I kind of understand. But I don't know. It kind of makes me seem like Sony might be looking more forward. And they have kind of said they're doing that before.
yeah, it sort of sucks. Sony will move on from something. I mean, look at the PlayStation Portable. It's pretty much obsolete. It just, I could see them doing it, so it's crazy.
But yeah, as we know, they've gotten rid of backwards compatibility. I know people might not know this, but if you have the newer PS3, it doesn't play PS2 games.
I remember when I bought a PS2 and I found out it was able to play PlayStation 1 games, and I remember my brother wanting to get rid of the PlayStation 1 games. I'm like, we're not getting rid of them. We can play these on there. So I was like, we're not getting rid of them. So it was fun to have. I think I bought 2 PlayStation 2 games, and that was it. And the rest were just PS1. So at that time, but yeah, hopefully Sony will maybe do something with the PS5 with the new older games. Maybe they'll find a way to bring those to there. I don't know. That's my hope. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I hope so too. Actually, the irony is the Xbox did the opposite of that. For those who don't know, the Xbox One couldn't play Xbox 360 games originally, but then they actually upgraded so you could you kind of like an emulation but legally, with the Xbox 360. And actually, they ended up making it so you could play original Xbox games as well.
Cool. That's some cool shit.
And they're keeping that with the Series X. Like if the Xbox or Xbox 360 game can work on the Xbox One, they're working on the Series X or whatever you want to call it now too. And of course, the Xbox it'll be able to play it's able to play Xbox One games too. Of course,
I have a little tidbit. If you ever play Red Dead Redemption 2 and you get to the end of the game and you get to where you're being John Marston, go to the town that's on fire. There's a town, I forget what it's called now. It's on fire. They're having a plague, and the shop owner is a real dick. If you can go in and kill him as many times as you want, and you will not get a wanted level for it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's pretty awesome.
I've went in, I've shot him with my pistol, I've shot him with my shotgun. Nobody does nothing.
Oh, that's insane. For those that don't know, I know despite the name, Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually a prequel, not a sequel. I know it's weird, but
Right, it is. It's a prequel to the first game, and once you beat it as Arthur Morgan, you play as John Marston, and you're sort of if you can dumb around pretty much as John Marston, you can do whatever you want. But I went to this town I think it's Armadillo. I do believe the town's called. I could be wrong, but the town is suffering from a plague or something. I forget what it's called, and everybody hates the shop owner in there. And you can literally kill that shop owner, stab him, shoot him, do whatever you want, and they will not give you a wanted level.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It is. It's funny. I was like, I wondered. I I think I did set his shop on fire, like from the outside, and nobody did nothing. So
Oh, another thing about the PS5, I think it's the memory thing. Like, you know how it has like expandable memory?
yeah,
Apparently that's not. Apparently you can't use that yet. Apparently you have. They're gonna update the system in the summer to make that, to enable that. But even though it has the slot for it, it's like, why the hell wouldn't it be made enabled when they made the system? I don't get that.
yeah. It's my wife said about a PS5, and I said no, and she goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because," I said, "there's already, because you can read online what the problems are for people who bought it already." And it's like, so you don't want to commit to something that's already having sort of issues that they need to update already. And this sort of was an issue for the PS4 too when the PS4 came out. I waited to get a PS4, and my wife said, "So you don't want a PS5?" I said, "Not right at this time, no." And it has nothing to do with the price. It just has to do with the fact that they've put out this brand new system that they knew, to your point, they were going to put out, and it's having problems. No.
Yeah, yeah, he's right. There's problems, and I actually heard that even the controller has what they call I forgot what they call it. It's like, but you know, it's like analog stick drift. I forgot the actual. I think that's the name of it. But yeah, basically, like, yeah, that's not these considering the systems are not even a year old yet. That's a problem if it already has that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Microsoft and Sony knew they were going to put out newer consoles past the ones they had. And you're hearing all these problems with the PS5, and it's because just Sony, to me, even though Sony knew they were going to put out this new product, just like the PS4 wasn't quite ready, the PS5 is not going to be quite ready until they get everything fixed. And no offense to people might laugh at this, or you're going to wait. Yeah, I'm going to wait till they have all their shit fixed and then I'll go buy one, because if I buy one now, what's the point?
That's true. Yeah, and that's actually a thing that would annoy me because see, I've never actually bought a system at launch because well, in the past it's because I didn't have money because I was a kid, but now it's they usually have problems, and this is actually further proof that I should continue doing that.
Right, because and that's the thing. A lot of people will pre-order these. They'll buy them at launch. They'll have them ready to buy at launch. And I've had people question me, "Why do you never buy a system at launch?" I said, "Experience. You never." I said, "This ain't the olden days." I said, "This ain't." I said, "You have a thing called the internet. You can look at what's going on when people do buy it and they're starting to complain about it. And when they're starting to complain about it, it's because they shouldn't have bought the damn thing right away. They should have waited." And I said, "But if people wait," I said, "the thing of it is, a developer like Sony, they want to make sure their shit's going to get pre-ordered to pay for the cost." I said, and they know it will now because they're a brand name, just like Microsoft is. And that's sort of the thing. It's not necessarily buyer's remorse. It's called, to me, it's immediate buyer's remorse, because you're buying something that's not yet ready, and they've been working on this. So what I'll say is, instead of rushing to the store and hitting the pre-order thing like you would on a DVD or anything else, patience is key with these systems.
Yeah, it's true. And plus, it's cheaper anyway. When it gets a little older.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, I agree. The most expensive thing I've ever bought, I think, was the coffin box set, and that was $300. And I think I've said in my video, if they did the coffin box set for Blu-ray, yeah, I would pay another $300 because that's worth it. You know what I mean? Shit.
Actually, I agree with you on that because I looked on how many discs there are, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember exactly. But I remember reading it has over 1,000 discs.
It does. It has over, well, because it's, again, it lasts. Dark Shadows, the original, lasted for 5 years, so it has well over 1,000 episodes. And plus, I got the deluxe, and it come with this booklet, this beautiful booklet of pictures and episode guides. So it's really, to me, if they were to Blu-ray it, I'd buy it again because it's worth it. It's worth having the Blu-ray. Again, I don't know if they'll do that because, again, they can't. For those who don't know, they can't actually edit the episodes of the original Dark Shadows without so they can't actually edit the goof ups out of the film, out of the series.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I kind of understand too because like, for those that don't know, the original Dragon Ball is not on Blu-ray. Only, and neither is GT, but those are the only two that aren't. Like, Z is, of course, Z Kai is, Super is, and well, I guess there is Dragon Ball Heroes, but that's just a promo anime for the game for a game. But I'm just saying, out of the main series, like GT and the original don't have Blu-ray. It's kind of weird, I know.
No, they don't. But you wait. They'll be like, when you least expect it, we'll get that announcement. Guess what's coming to Blu-ray from Shout Factory?
Oh yeah. I heard that. So I have heard someone say like, with the original they can't put on Blu-ray, but I don't think that'd be the issue with Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball is not. I mean, it's I guess you could say the animation looks old, but it doesn't. It's not like Dark Shadows. It's not like from the 60s,
Right. Dark Shadows is from the 60s, so Dark Shadows does look old because it is. And again, Dragon Ball isn't, so it looks a lot newer than what Dark Shadows does. But my show has goof ups.
That's understandable. I know. I wouldn't mind if they put the Addams Family and the Munsters on Blu-ray, but those probably have the same issues that Dark Shadows has.
I'm not sure if it would, but it probably does. So I think we will get Addams Family on DVD sooner than we would get Dark Shadows because, again, the coffin box set is just so huge. Like, even like you've seen my video, how big that thing is. Like, so could you imagine them trying to Blu-ray that thing? Like, it'd be like, well,
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but yeah, it might be the episode, number 2. I didn't think about that.
right? It might be like, we'll wait to Blu-ray that one. I do think they'll Blu-ray the monsters sooner than what they would Dark Shadows. But that's just my opinion of it. So, is there anything?
Well, yeah, there are.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I forgot to mention there are the Dragon Ball Z movies are on Blu-ray too, but honestly, I have the DVDs of those. I have the DVDs that have like 4 or 5 because they're just cheaper.
Right. That's the thing too. Not everything is about expense. Like, I'll wait a lot of times for a price to come down to go buy something because it's just cheaper. Like, we we don't just think of ourselves and go buy the most expensive thing. It's like the price. When you look at the price of something, it's like, do I really want to pay that? It's not necessarily the quality of it. It's the fact that it has that price tag, and it's like, but if it's something you really want at that given time, are you gonna buy it? Yeah, you are. But what I'll say is, I agree with you. Have the patience and maybe wait till the price comes down and then commit because you're not paying as much as what you would have paid.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Also, the Dragon Ball Z movies, for those that don't know them, for those who aren't fans of the franchise, well, this is my opinion. Maybe someone disagrees with me, but the movies some of them are good, but they're not as good as the show.
Yeah.
And actually, I hate to say this, but there are 4 movies of the original Dragon Ball for those that don't know, and that comes in a set too. Honestly, if that had Evolution, I wouldn't have minded, but that's the only way in hell I'd own Evolution if it was in that set.
I'm gonna tell you a little story. I was at Walmart just here a couple of days ago, and 2 people were arguing, and I obviously I walked away from the argument of what it was. I didn't even overhear. I went to the electronics section, and in the $3 bin, I saw Dragon Ball Evolution. I'm like, that'll be the only movie that will never get out of that bin.
Oh yeah, definitely. Honestly, I hate to say this, but anyone who paid $3 is over. What do you say? They basically pay too
much. Maybe when I go to the flea market and if I see it for 25 cents, I might commit to it then. Might.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe if I see it maybe I see it on the side of the road. Of course, then again, maybe I don't know. Even then,
you'd run over it.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh God. Is there anything you want to add about Resident Evil before we get out of here?
I actually didn't want people to know. For those that don't know, I actually did start a group called Raccoon City Residents.
Yep.
It's actually interesting. I don't know if you've seen, but that kind of I don't know. It's interesting that all of a sudden has a bunch of invites, and I actually now have. Well, we now have 891 members as of this recording. I'm actually surprised because I remember when we couldn't even get 100. You know.
Yeah, big congratulations to Daniel and his group. They got well over 800 people. And it's a really cool group. It's a very interactive group, Raccoon City Residents. It's on Facebook. I highly recommend you guys join it because it's a lot of fun. Daniel will interact with you. I'll interact with you. And Resident Evil just a fun discussion to have, especially with Daniel Culver. I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much, my friend, for coming on. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. I appreciate it very, very much, sir.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Link to Daniel's channel will be in the description box. Again, you can go get his group, Raccoon City Residents. I'm a member too. It's a lot of fun, and it's always a pleasure, man. You have a good day.
Yep, you have a good day too.
All right, bye.